Let's make some transformable box rooms with windows. Let's go. So I've been experimenting with these wood palettes for walls for many years now, and something that I was missing was windows, and I always wanted to do it. Oh, and also layers. So I really wanted to be able to have layers of rooms, and I wanted lots of expansion. Now it doesn't work very well on the shelves because shelves are only so wide, but I'm gonna have to like sacrifice table space and make things movable, and that is why also the box room is the perfect plan for this, because it would break up into segments. Now I did love using the panels very much. We'll get back to this, don't you worry. But there was and I thought about doing this for many years, for sticking these together and making them, but I was not satisfied with the floor. The floor was not something that I liked, and I didn't want to go to the paper route, and I thought the popsicle stick route was way too much work, because when you do put down the popsicle sticks, they look great to some degree. It looks uneven. It's like in real life, I guess, when you have uneven wood, you have to sand that down and make it like all one flat level surface, and that just sounded ridiculous. Oh, and what I have been using is cutting boards, bamboo cutting boards that I would get at the dollar store. All the stuff is from the dollar store, by the way. But the board spacing was perfect on these, and I loved laying these down as floors because they were great, but also the dimensions weren't right. So when I was making the walls, oh, I guess I should use one of these. This would be the base. There was a little more on this edge, and a little, and then you put it this way, and also there was the grooves that I didn't think worked very well when you're sticking the two floors together. Now, there were two kinds of cutting boards that I could get at the dollar store. This kind, you can see the beveled edge is bump up against each other. And I mean, I don't mind that too much. You can be strategic about putting rugs down and stuff, but it's not really noticeable. And then there were other cutting boards that they had available that were, when they butt together, you couldn't even see the seam in them. So this is what I use on my shelves, or have been using on my shelves. But again, the dimensions don't fit, so I've had to cut down these and make them so that I could fit the right amount of slats onto the shelves, the existing shelves that I have. But, okay, so the thing that's missing there is dimension, and also that would be the reason why I didn't have windows, because you just have, this would be butt up against the wall on my shelf, and I don't know if I'm going to input some B footage of the shelves that I use, but I have brought everything over here. These are the ones that I made. The first ones that I made were these, and I did make these with the intentions of having layers, and I do like this Parisian castle, rundown castle look, and I don't paint the stuff, and I don't want to paint it because white, I like a white clean backdrop, a natural white, and this really is natural white. The wood is like an unbleached white. It looks like linen, and it's perfect, and I like the wood finish. But when I did build these, I had the idea of staggering them so you'd have the illusion of hallways and stuff behind. And I did a little extra. We'll get into this. There's a whole video on, well, I made videos of when I made these as well, but I do like this little extra dimension that I added to that frame. But then by the time I did my second ones, which were corner units, because the problem I had with these was that they tipped over. Now looking at them, I still do love them. I'm not ready to get rid of them, and I do see there's a purpose to use them sometime. But then I moved on to making corner units, so these ones are standable, and it worked out really well because I could move them around on the cutting board floors like this, and then put different things in behind them. However, I always had this space in behind, so I'd have to put the wall. But I mean, I always put like a picture of a brick wall behind them and stuff like that. Different techniques I did, and when I designed these, I made sure that I had different possibilities. So I thought of this as like an entrance archway, so I did a little different style here, and then on this I did more of a wraparound, so that depending on the effect of the room that I wanted to make. So I have been working at making the dimensions versatile, and but this time this next step is the windows. The windows were really missing. The windows are what I really wanted, but while I was at it, I thought I also need to incorporate the box room idea where you can switch things around. Now, it wasn't, and I was putting it off and putting it off and putting off making windows because there's nothing I could really do, storage and stuff, unless it was a box room. There was nothing that I could do. But then these showed up at the dollar store in Canada called Dollarama, and it is a foot by a foot, 12-inch by 12-inch board, which just happened to be the exact dimensions of one of the pallets, and that makes things work out perfect. Now I did have to think about this a long time, and I was really like I thought of different scenarios of how this would work out best, and maybe right now I am second guessing myself once again, because I thought that I'm going to get to what I decided on how to make the rooms, but what I have now thought about doing is something that I'm questioning, is making the walls butt up against together. Now, I didn't want to have this line in between, because you can really see it's bad enough that the floors have the seam down the middle. Now, because of the rudimentary structure of these floors, that is why it was okay for me to do this, because I think that these look realistic, the way like rundown castle, old turn of the century is kind of my jam. And these don't look so bad butted up against each other, and even in different patterns, it looks like somebody just laid down the floorboards, and that is where the beam is, so that is where they cut them, and they cut them into squares. Now, I love that it can be expanded, and again, because of my layers, I'm gonna have to buy more of these, and we'll get into that more, because of how, but I did buy 6 of these, and I bought 6 new pallets to construct the rooms, the dream rooms that I want. Okay, but back to what I finally decided to do, and that is not to butt them. However, my new plan, if I was to do it again, well, I don't know. I don't know if this is true. Maybe I will do it again. I would build extra columns just that would be move aroundable, and could be an example. And then I would just place it in the room. But instead of doing that to hide the seams, instead of doing that, what I did was I based everything on an overlap kind of plan. So if you do want to make a corner room, you are going to have overlap anyway. And I figured figured either I would make a simple L-shaped backdrop, and then what would I do? Would I put this one lower on the side so that the ceiling had this little gap here because you're putting it lower on the side and opening up the floor space more? Or do I close it in and have the overlap going off of the square? And what I chose to do was take away some of the floor, because we are going to expand the floors anyway, and then create an overlap. Okay, I've already built one of these, so I might as well just bring it up to make it easy for myself. So this is what I decided to do, because when you make the overlap, you can hide the seam with architectural detail. So it now becomes like a corner around a wall. And this is what I've been doing. I have been layering these like this before. And then that's the solution. Now, I want to be able to, really build these out. So there's going to be certain pieces that come apart and certain pieces that are just going to be free, because I want to be able to switch it up. So the possibility of having a room that spans 3 across is there. But then, oh yeah, here's the thing anyway. I'm going to be able to turn this around and then make a smaller 2 across room with 2 of these, and I will be able to do my beam idea anyway, just for the smaller rooms. Or I can put a fireplace here with a chimney that goes all the way up. Those are some of the things that I've been doing, but I am going to design it so that it works like this. Now next, what we'll be working on, I think this is just going to be part 1. This video is going to be so long that I will split this into different segments of these room creations. But I also decided on having a half room, or a room that goes in front. So this is going to be a window room. I'm going to put 3 windows across on 3 different planes. So I don't know, do I have enough things left over to show you? It's going to go across 3. This in the middle. This is going to be a window wall with a window wall and a window wall. And then this segment, this was the best I could do. I mean, I could have cut one of the pallets in half, but instead, what I did was I stacked 2 of the square ones. And that's something that I didn't even show you. I saved this stuff to show you I saved 1 of each to show you what I was using. So we had one of these, it had a string attached. I guess it's just a sign to put up on the wall and do some crafts on, whatever you want to do. And then the pallets that I'm using, the dimensions are, I think they're 12 by 14, 12 by 16, so they're nice and tall. Lots of headspace for the dolls. And then for this half wall, I used 2 of these ones. These, I guess they would be 8 by 8, 8 and 8 or 16. So 2 of them will build it up, Now, once I have the moldings and stuff on here, it's going to hide the line. I kind of like it. Also, when I stick two of these together, I'm going to have one on each side. I'm going to be able to make a 2-segment floor room. So that's going to be a smaller room option with molding. We're going to talk more about the molding now. Actually, now would be a good time. But should we talk about the windows? I didn't know that what this video is. I thought I was going to sit down and maybe build the whole thing, but no. So when I was thinking about windows, I found the floors, and then I decided it was time to go looking for windows. So I had bought one of these before, which my intention was to cut this in half and make it into a fireplace. I thought it was built-in molding. It was before I was making my own moldings out of like popsicle sticks. Did I show you those? Different sized popsicle sticks to do the different borders. So there are the videos where I did make the existing rooms. Not this one yet. We haven't made this one. This is my prototype. I didn't make that one on camera yet. But all of the different sized popsicle sticks, really important to have different sized ones to add the different layers and features on the molding. And then there's the hot glue. Oh no, we didn't talk about the hot glue moldings. We'll get to that. So I went out looking to the dollar store to look for really inexpensive mirrors or frames to use the glass, and my idea was to take popsicle sticks, buy the cheapest frames that I could get, and then I was going to take out the glass, throw out the frames. I was hoping to find more wooden frames so that I could probably, hoping that I could use them maybe as moldings for the walls. Maybe that they would have worked. Maybe they would have worked as perfect frames. But I was going to take out the glass and I was going to carefully build popsicle glass doors and windows, and I am still really excited about that. It's a tedious thing, and just frame out a piece of glass and put the popsicle sticks strategically around the glass to hold them and build a whole frame around them, using the different popsicle sticks, and that sounded really fun to me, and I thought it would be so intricate and it would look really luxurious. But then I go to the Dollar Tree and they have these frames, and I said, that's everything, that's already done for me. And I got so excited that I said, that looks like an industrial window, so why not make this an industrial Parisian loft thing? And here came this wall, and because I still hadn't decided if I was going to do just single panels. Do I have a single panel? Where's a single panel? So I thought that was the easiest thing to do, and maybe I recommend this for you if you don't want to worry about layers and just have way more versatility. However, it might not look as realistic when you're butting together the walls together. But that was my plan. I just centered, because this would be a good starting point. This might even be enough. If you take close-up photographs, you don't have to worry about the sides. But I centered it. So I centered the window. I decided that two stacked on these boards. I laid them down flat. I looked at how much room would be needed for molding, and it turned out that the shape and size of these frames just gave me enough room for the frame size that I like of a window and the extra molding so you can see that it just fit. So all of the moldings that I had before were roughly done with these largest, I don't know, craft stick, popsicle sticks. So this is my base molding, and that is, and then it also that wrapped around the window. So there's just a little bit of join in between, and I thought, okay, that's perfect. So then I build up that window around here, and again, in some upcoming videos, we are going to build these together, and I've also built some of these already, so you can look back at some of the other walls, but I did let the dimensions dictate. So I've already had this window put in. So now I have to see where are the natural shapes. So after even before you put the glue, I glued on these moldings that I made. I had to see what, I guess this video is an overview, what dimensions. I should have created this all on the fly. I should make my prototypes on the fly, record them so that you can work with the process along with me. But we are still, again, going to do future videos of the process in between. But I realized that once the window molding and everything was on, I had like it was 3 inches, I don't know, this is 2 inches across, and then this is 1/2 inch spacing in between, and it just worked out that there was a 1/2 inch space there, so it looked good to have a 1/2 inch space there. And because everything was, I let the materials that I have dictate where spacing goes. So I don't know if I'm making it clear how that happens, but it's a combination of art and math together. Limitations breed creativity, so you just have to fall in with your limitations or go with what's available. So after I made this window centered, and then I had the moldings here, I measured and I said, what's going to fit? This window is centered, so I wanted to do something symmetrical in the moldings, and I didn't have a crown molding like the last walls that I made. These ones, I put in a chair rail. So the chair rail, how I figured out the chair rail, I don't remember. You'll have to go back and read the video. I think I looked up online where a chair rail falls, and I scaled that down. And then once I put the chair rail in, and I wanted to not make too many moldings, but I noticed there was a pattern, and it was 3 centimeters. So the spacing all became 3 centimeters everywhere, and the materials dictated where I was going to put the crown molding. And we're going to see that that's going to happen a lot in this project because of how the overlap is going to go. So the materials spoke to me. I figured I would make squares because since we were doing 1 inch by 1 inch, and it was going to be a reflective, like cut in half, total symmetrical piece going on here, I thought, let's go with the square and the square and the square and the square, and the leftover space became the shape in the middle. Now, when I put these on here, I am going to make because this is always going to be overlapped and centered here. So now I am going to, the placement of this opposed to the spacing in between here is going to dictate the sizes. And again, in the future videos where I'll show you how I install and make the window, it is going to show you how we put those on. And then when it's flipped around to the other side, and how the different things that go in front of this, like this room, that it will turn as I flip it. This side works as a room, so this overlap is going to change the size of this. but I'm also going to consider how I can put this in the middle to make a smaller, shorter room, a 2-panel room, and then, so I'm going to build on the molding here, and then when this is taken away, I can't have, it's hard to explain, but I can't put on the wall. And again, as we do this in future videos, I can't put on the wall where it overlaps the molding like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to know exactly where the wall's placement, which is going to be centered on the floor because of the possibility of a 2-floor, and then also when I take it away, there'll be molding underneath. Again, it'll be explained. These extra moldings are also products from Dollar Tree. I knew that this was going to happen, and I have been collecting the gold every time I would go to the Dollar Tree, and I would see that they would have these gold glue sticks. I would buy them. I would buy every one. A huge. Sometimes they're different colors. I just recently discovered that some of them are a brighter, sparklier gold, which I don't like the brighter, sparklier ones. I mean I would, but the dollar one, duller ones, I like better. So, do I have those tools here? Oh yeah. So on Amazon, I just found these silicone molds. I believe that they're for making cakes, to make patterns to wrap around your cakes. So I had bought this a long time ago. I had experimented building, trying out different colors and different patterns. And the ones that I chose were, I decided to go super ornate on the top border, and then a little more masculine, loft, New York kind of style with the side ones, because I just thought it fit in, and the window turned out really detailed. Oh, I didn't even mention to you that the way that the windows were made, that's why they talk to me. They're opening, functioning loft windows, and I used the existing hinge feature of them to make them openable. And I haven't decided how we're going to keep them open. I guess you could make them tighter. I could have made them the window tighter so that they creaked, but I'm totally okay with this. I can. There are certain like dowels and stuff. We'll figure that out as we go. Probably don't want to keep the windows open anyway, but the fact that they are on these industrial hinges is incredible, and that is why they spoke to me. But I guess the lesson here, and what I was starting to say, is that whatever your style is, look for the windows that you want. These windows spoke to me, but maybe a window, more a traditional window like this. This frames make great windows. Most people don't want to work in the natural material that I do, but you can incorporate paint. Paint is not something that I like. However, if these were all white, I would be happy with that. I mean, my floors are painted white, but I just think that it's going to work really well in my old rundown Victorian French loft castle. And yeah, it's all of the elements and the things that I like. I like how the floors are butting together. I can't wait to get to the moldings and stuff on these walls. Again, that's an upcoming video. I'll show you exactly how that's done. Did I cover everything? We'll do some hot gluing together. We'll cut out the existing windows we'll use the template made from this one, but I will show you how that I measured and cut out the initial window. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Part 1, huh? I guess the next part of this video is going to be in these spaces. I guess I'll come back. I'll add the whole process. Maybe we only need one more process because I don't have to take you through the whole thing. There's been other videos. They will be linked here on the sides here, where you can see how I built some of these other palette walls.